Part 1. You will hear a conversation between a parent and a camp organizer about a summer adventure camp. First, you'll have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. You can answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good morning. I hope I'm in the right place. This is the office for the summer adventure camp, isn't it?
Yes, welcome. Please, take a seat. Are you here to find out about the program?
Exactly. We've just moved into the area, and I thought this might be a great way for my 3 children to spend their summer.
That's wonderful. How old are they?
Daniel is 9, Mia is 13, and Lucas just turned 16. They're full of energy, but each of them enjoys very different things.
That actually works perfectly. The camp is divided into 3 categories: the explorers, the adventurers, and the pioneers.
Could you tell me more about each one?
Sure. The explorers are for children aged 7 to 11. Their sessions are based on outdoor games and creative crafts. It's a safe environment to build confidence, but climbing and other physically demanding activities are not part of their schedule.
That sounds ideal for Daniel. He's always making little models and drawings at home.
Yes, he would probably thrive in that group. Now, the adventurers are between 12 and 15. They take part in kayaking, survival skills, and team challenges. The focus is on cooperation and working together, not on competition.
I think Mia would prefer that. She's not the type who wants to win at all costs, but she does like being with friends.
She'd fit in well. And finally, the pioneers. This group is for those aged 16 and above. They go on expeditions that can last up to 3 days. In addition, they mentor the younger campers, helping them during activities.
That sounds more serious. Lucas enjoys being outdoors, though I'm not sure how he'd feel about mentoring younger kids.
Many teenagers are hesitant at first, but later they appreciate the responsibility. It can also count toward youth leadership awards.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. What about safety arrangements?
All safety gear, helmets, life jackets, harnesses is included in the camp fee, so parents don't need to purchase anything. Every activity is supervised by trained staff, and we run safety drills at the start of each week.
Good, that puts my mind at ease. And food?
Lunch is provided daily for everyone. The older groups sometimes prepare their own meals outdoors as part of survival training. The results can be creative, let's say, but the experience is valuable.
Aha! I'll warn Mia not to expect gourmet cooking.
In the evenings, the whole camp gathers around the fire for songs, storytelling, and discussions. We don't allow mobile phones or other electronic devices at that time, so the children can focus on one another.
That's a great policy. Kids spend far too much time on screens these days.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 7 to 10.
We've noticed that too, and many parents are relieved when they hear about our no screens evenings. It really encourages the children to talk face to face and build friendships.
That's exactly what I want for them. Could you tell me how long the camp runs for in total?
Certainly. The full program lasts 6 weeks, beginning on the 3rd of July and finishing on the 14th of August. Parents can register their children for the entire period or choose shorter blocks of 2 or 3 weeks.
That's flexible. And is it a day camp only, or do they stay overnight?
Both options are available. Younger children, like your son Daniel, usually attend during the day and go home in the evening. But older campers, especially the pioneers, often choose the residential package, which includes accommodation in shared wooden cabins on site.
I see. Lucas might like that, although he's never been away from home for that long before.
Don't worry, the cabins are supervised by staff members who stay overnight. There's also a nurse available 24 hours a day in case of illness or injury.
That's reassuring. And what about transport? The camp looks a bit far from town.
Yes, but we provide a shuttle bus service every morning and evening from the main square in town. It's included in the fee for day campers. For residential campers, of course, it's just for arrival and departure days.
Speaking of fees, how much does it cost?
The day program is £180 per week, while the residential option is £250 per week. Both include meals, equipment, and activities. As I mentioned, safety gear is provided, so there are no hidden extra costs.
That's quite reasonable, considering everything that's included. Are there any discounts for families with more than one child?
Yes, indeed. Families enrolling 2 or more children receive a 10% discount on the total.
That's helpful. With 3 kids, every little bit makes a difference.
Absolutely. We also offer an early registration bonus if you sign up before the 1st of June. That's another £50 off per child.
I'll definitely keep that in mind. Could you give me a brochure or an information pack so I can go over the details with my children?
Of course. Here you are. Inside, you'll find the timetable, packing list, payment options, and contact numbers. We'll also hold an orientation evening a week before the camp begins, where families can meet the instructors.
That sounds very well organized. I'm sure Daniel, Mia, and Lucas will all find something they love here. Thank you for all the information.
My pleasure. We look forward to welcoming them this summer.
Part 2. You will hear a woman giving a talk about a cultural program. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the City Arts and History program, which has been running here in the centre for over 20 years. Unlike other cultural programs, which focus mainly on art or history separately, ours combines both. We started modestly, with weekend lectures, but now we run week-long courses that attract visitors from around the country. Before I go over the details of the program, let me explain how your trip will begin. Most of you will be travelling by coach, and our program coordinator will meet you at the Manchester coach station before departure. Those coming by train can meet us at the Central Ticket Hall of Birmingham Station, where another staff member will greet you. Unfortunately, we don't currently have a reception point at the airport, so please avoid booking flights that arrive on the same morning. Now let's move on to meals. Your accommodation will provide breakfast and dinner daily. However, because we'll be moving between sites during the day, only 3 lunches are included in the price. On the other days, you'll have time to choose your own meals in local cafes. As for costs, the program fee covers museum entry and most transport. But there are a few extras. If you'd like a private single room, there's a small additional charge. Similarly, if you change your booking after the confirmation date, you'll need to pay an administration fee. However, there's no penalty for postponing your trip to the next season, as long as you give us 2 weeks' notice.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
Let me now take you more carefully through the program schedule so you know exactly what to expect. On day 1 after checking into your hotel, you'll attend a welcome session in the conference hall. The hall itself has wide glass windows that look directly over the river, which creates a very peaceful backdrop. During the session, the program manager will outline the week's activities, introduce the staff, and answer any questions you may have. It's also a chance to meet the other participants and enjoy some light refreshments before dinner. On day 2, you'll spend the morning at the City Museum. This is one of the oldest museums in the country, but it has recently been modernized. The highlight is an interactive timeline exhibition, which allows you to walk through the centuries of the city's history, from medieval times right up to the present day. There are video displays, touch screens, and even short dramatized films that bring key historical events to life. In the afternoon, there will be a guided walking tour around the museum district, so you can see some of the surrounding architecture. On day 3, the focus shifts to the city's religious heritage. We'll make our way to the old cathedral, a building that dominates the skyline. To get there, you'll travel part of the way on the restored heritage tram, which is over 100 years old and has been carefully maintained. Riding on it is like stepping back in time. Once at the cathedral, a local historian will explain its architecture and the important role it played in the community over the centuries. Weather permitting, we'll also climb the tower to get a panoramic view of the city. On day 4, you'll have a completely free day. Some participants like to use this time simply to relax, but many take advantage of the voucher we provide. This gives you unlimited use of the local bus system and free entry to several cultural sites across the city. You might want to explore the art galleries, visit smaller historic chapels, or even take a bus ride into the surrounding countryside. The choice is entirely yours. On day 5, we'll take a scenic 2-hour riverboat trip. The boat winds its way past both the modern business district and the old industrial wharves, and you'll hear commentary explaining how the river shaped the growth of the city. After docking, we'll head to the historic market square. This is one of the liveliest parts of town, where traders still sell food, crafts, and antiques much as they did hundreds of years ago. You'll have free time to shop, take photos, or simply enjoy the atmosphere. Finally, on day 6, it will be time to leave. After breakfast, you'll check out of the hotel and either take the coach or board the train for your return journey. Staff will be on hand to help with luggage and ensure that everyone reaches their transport safely. I hope that overview gives you a clear idea of the variety of activities included in this program.
Part 3. You'll hear two friends discussing animals. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now, listen and answer questions 21 to 26.
Leo, you'll laugh, but I think I spent half the weekend glued to a wildlife documentary marathon. Honestly, I couldn't stop watching. It was like traveling the world without leaving my sofa. What amazed me most was discovering how similar animals are to us in the way they organize their lives. I mean, take elephants, for instance. I already knew they were protective, but I didn't realize how much responsibility is shared in raising calves. It isn't just the mother. Other females in the herd step in too. They'll guard the young, guide them when the mother is tired, and even discipline them gently when they stray too far. It's basically like a daycare system run by the whole family.
That's brilliant. I read something similar about chimpanzees. They don't just leave their young to figure things out. Adults will actively show the youngsters how to crack nuts, how to use sticks to dig for termites, even how to wash fruit before eating it. And they'll slow down or repeat actions until the little ones get it right. It's like a proper classroom. Some scientists argue this kind of deliberate teaching is one of the clearest signs of intelligence in the animal world.
Yes. And baboons blew me away too. I always assumed grooming was just for hygiene, like keeping their fur free of lice. But it's far more sophisticated than that. Grooming is almost like a form of politics. A lower-ranking baboon might groom a dominant one, not just for cleanliness, but to build favor and protection. And if there's a fight later, that investment can really pay off. It's like buying insurance. Except instead of money, you're paying in time and attention.
That makes sense. And then there are penguins. Honestly, they've got teamwork nailed. When the Antarctic winds blow, they form these massive huddles, each bird pressing tightly against the others. What's genius is that they rotate. Those on the outside eventually shuffle inward, and those in the middle take a turn braving the cold. Without that rotation, the ones at the edge would just freeze to death. It's survival through cooperation, and it's perfectly choreographed.
Exactly. And wolves show the same kind of synchrony, but in hunting rather than in weather. When they chase elk or deer, they don't just rush in randomly. They fan out, some block escape routes, others chase, and the strongest members take the lead. It's coordinated like a football team with positions and tactics. Without that level of cooperation, a single wolf would never be able to bring down such large prey.
And communication is just as fascinating. Take gorillas and orangutans. They don't only grunt or make loud calls. They actually use body language. Some gestures are clear commands, like pointing to food, beckoning others to come closer, or pushing gently to indicate direction. Researchers have identified dozens of distinct signals. It really challenges the idea that only humans use non-verbal communication in such a structured way.
True, but lions gave me the biggest surprise. Did you know they can sleep for 20 hours in a single day? At first I thought, wow, lazy animals. But then the narrator explained that hunting uses up so much energy that lions have to conserve their strength. Sleeping during the hottest hours prevents exhaustion and allows them to stay sharp for nighttime hunts when their prey is active. It's not laziness. It's clever energy management.
Before you hear the rest of conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
What struck me while watching all this is how these behaviors aren't just survival tricks. They build the fabric of animal societies. Wolves hunting together isn't only about catching food, it's about strengthening bonds and reminding each wolf of their role. If one fails to cooperate, the whole hunt can collapse. It's like trust exercises in human teams.
That's exactly what I thought about baboons. Grooming looks simple, but it's really social networking. It strengthens friendships, establishes hierarchies, and even eases tension after a conflict. You could say they use grooming instead of words to make peace.
And lions too. People think they're lazy, but they've just adapted to their environment. By resting through the day, they're ensuring they have maximum energy when it's most needed. Imagine sprinting at full speed across grasslands. You wouldn't last long if you hadn't conserved energy first.
And chimpanzees fascinate me the most. Their communication, those gestures and vocal calls aren't just random. They're layered, with meanings that shift depending on the situation. A hand wave might mean back off in one context and come here in another. That kind of flexibility is so close to human language that it makes you wonder how much more they understand than we think.
Yes, but here's the worrying part. I saw a feature on polar bears, and it was heartbreaking. Because of climate change, the sea ice they depend on is disappearing earlier each year. That forces them to swim longer distances between ice flows, which uses up their fat reserves. Some don't survive. It shows that even the best adapted behaviors can collapse if the environment changes too quickly.
And it's not just polar bears. Many species rely on timing that matches the seasons. Birds migrate when insects are abundant, and some mammals breed when food is plentiful. But climate change shifts these patterns. Birds might arrive before insects have hatched, or rain might come too late for plants to grow. If the rhythm is disrupted, the whole chain suffers. That's why conservation isn't only about protecting animals. It's about protecting the timing of nature itself.
Exactly. It makes me realize that behaviors which seem timeless are actually fragile. If we don't protect ecosystems, those remarkable survival strategies we admire, whether it's penguin huddles or wolf hunts, could vanish within a generation.
Part 4. You will hear a student giving a presentation on the development of urban transport systems. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, everyone. My presentation today will focus on the development of urban transport systems, how they began, how they've adapted, and what directions they might take in the future. To begin with, let's look at the early 19th century. At that time, most city dwellers traveled mainly on foot because distances were relatively short. Wealthier families might have had private carriages, but for ordinary people, walking was the only option. This started to change when the horse-drawn omnibus was introduced in places like Paris and London. These were large wagons that could carry more than a dozen passengers at a time. For many, this was revolutionary, since it made cross-city travel faster and more comfortable than before. However, as populations expanded, problems soon appeared. Omnibuses became overcrowded, journeys were slow in heavy traffic, and there were also hygiene issues. Remember, horses left waste on the streets. By the late 1800s, city authorities were looking for more efficient forms of transport, and that led to one of the most important breakthroughs, the tram. At first, trams were pulled by horses too, but soon they were powered by electricity. This was a huge improvement because electric trams were quicker, quieter, and cleaner. In fact, cities like Berlin and Budapest developed highly advanced tram systems that carried tens of thousands of passengers daily. Moving into the 20th century, the picture shifted again with the invention of the motorbus. Unlike trams, buses did not need fixed rails and could operate on any road. This flexibility made them cheaper to run, and it also meant routes could easily be changed depending on demand. Around the same time, another transport revolution was taking place below the surface, the Underground Railway. London's Underground, which had started in 1863, expanded rapidly during the early 1900s, and other major cities such as New York, Paris, and Tokyo soon developed their own subway networks. But not all changes were positive. As the century progressed, the growth of private cars transformed cities. At first, cars were a symbol of freedom and progress. But as millions of people began to own them, cities became increasingly congested. Traffic jams, air pollution, and accidents became everyday problems. Some governments even demolished historic neighborhoods to build wider roads, which in turn encouraged even more car use. Now, let's turn to the present day. Modern cities face enormous pressure to develop more sustainable systems. Climate change and rising fuel prices have forced urban planners to rethink old models. In response, many cities have reintroduced trams, but in a modern form known as light rail, which runs smoothly and efficiently on electricity. Others are promoting cycling paths and pedestrian-friendly streets, while some, like Amsterdam, are already world leaders in bicycle commuting. Technological innovations are also shaping the future. For example, several cities in Asia are experimenting with automated buses, sometimes called driverless buses, which could cut down on labor costs and reduce human error. Additionally, mobile apps now allow passengers to check schedules, pay for journeys, and even share rides, making public transport more convenient than ever. Looking ahead, the challenge for the future will be balance. On one hand, cities must remain efficient, enabling millions of people to get to work or school every day. On the other, there's a moral responsibility to keep systems environmentally friendly. The ultimate goal is to achieve a balance between progress, accessibility, and environmental responsibility.